Okay. We're going to talk about this real briefly, all right? I think it's almost, what, 600 people in the chat, but only 200 likes. Now, y'all know we could get at least 300. So help us to start out just a little piece. Okay, just give me a little piece of a tap, girl. It don't take that much. But anywho, so I want to get into this man by the name of Sean Allen that I stumbled on the other day, and I wanted to get into a bit of his podcast. So like when this situation went down with Claudia, Al, Armon, with Armon roasting Al the way that he did, a lot of people were not fancy about it. They weren't happy. Some people thought it was hilarious, like myself. Al found it to not be funny. I believe he felt humiliated on air, a bit embarrassed, and possibly felt attacked because he likely felt like Claudia Jordan was the person that you know triggered all of this, right? And I was in the beginning thinking that I don't think Claudia, had anything to do with it, or that she didn't put Armand up to it or anything. And I'll be honest and say that since then, my thoughts about the situation has changed. Okay. Um, and that was primarily from seeing her actions over the past few days. And you talk about the show being your baby, but and you say that Al is trying to take the show down, but I feel like you're contributing to that with all of the additional commentary that you've given around it. So I don't think anybody in this situation is 100% innocent. But I want to get into Sean Allen because when all of this first went down, he definitely got into it with Claudia, honey, over there on the Twitter. Now, Claudia did delete her messages that they had over there on the Twitter, but he was definitely on her head. Now, from my understanding, Sean Allen is the best friend to Al. He does have a podcast, but and I think he may be on Twitch as well, but I'm not sure what else he specifically does or is involved in. I was hoping to find out more, but I couldn't find his Twitch page, but it is what it is, okay? So, matter of fact, before we listen to the audio of what was said, let me check something real quick, y'all. Before we get into the audio, um, I'm trying to see which one. I think I want to get into the tweets, okay? Let us get into the tweets first because I feel like the tweets may have come first before the audio we'll check out. All right. So someone added Claudia and they said, my thing is about this whole situation is why did it have to take for Armand exposing what Al has been allegedly doing behind the scenes while you're on air if he's been creating a hostile environment behind the scenes for months? Why didn't you report him to your seniors? So then Claudia says that she did, and that's what makes it so frustrating. Like, I've been asking for help for months. So Sean jumps in, okay, and says, Claudia, do you think publicly engaging in negative commentary, going live with random bloggers, tweeting in the comments everywhere helps anything? Al hasn't said anything, and the Safe Live Armand did yesterday contradicted your comments below. Where is your PR? Okay, friends telling you to dial it down. No one is giving you advice. Like, what's going on? Okay. She had some things to say, and then I guess maybe deleted it. So he says you've been publicly erratic since Thursday and now don't have a job. You think any of this helps? You are providing collateral that further drives the narrative that you are the problem. Your quote unquote lawyer isn't advising you? Question mark. So try this right here, you know, was a mess. Now I do believe there was some more. Let me see. Was there more over here? Okay, yeah, he got into it with her. Somebody hopped in the comments and says, I'm not trying to make excuses for folks because I do think some of the post roast uh or I guess even say pot roast or whatever, the roast comments. I should say pot roast, okay? The roast comments and behavior makes things worse. But Claudia is clearly being blamed by a lot of people. So do you keep quiet and let folks continue to beat you down or defend yourself? So then Sean says none of that matters. She should not be online spiraling. Where is her lawyer? PR, this isn't a good look. I do agree with that because if this is your baby, you don't want to further bring issues surrounding your baby, in my opinion. I understand you not being okay with one of your counterparts, but I do feel like the roast was enough. You don't have to give additional details about it professionally, in my opinion. You could just wait until the show is completely over. Should they decide to end it, then you could probably expose and tell everything, if you care to, and if you care to no longer have that relationship with that person. But how it's being done now, and the fact that he was saying something about a job earlier on makes me question whether or not they've been like, they ain't coming back or something. You know what I'm saying? Where did he have that? Going live or random. I could have sworn he said that at another time. You've been erratic Thursday, and now don't have a job. That's what he said. You've been publicly erratic since Thursday, and now don't have a job. So I'm like, is it over? Is the show done? And if you're Al's best friend, I mean, you closer to the situation than anybody, I would think. So he says Al most definitely can be the one who burned the house down, but no one nowhere has any collateral or evidence. It's all speculation and feelings. What we do have is 5 days of Claudia being out of control on lives, calling bloggers on YouTube, on Twitter, being unprofessional. That's what we do have. Okay, so that's what was said, honey. That's what was said. So I'm not sure what else could have been said, because there were some posts that was deleted. Somebody asked Armon, what's the T? You with Al, you and what's the T with you and Al? He says he let Claudia get in his ear and lie to him, and now Claudia on the live trying to clean it up. There was a delete that happened. I don't know if this person deleted it or what. He says or if Claudia deleted it. He says, I intentionally am replying here on this account, on this platform, because if you block me here, I can reply there. You need to grow up, or you gotta grow up. There was another tweet, and then it was deleted. So based on what he's saying here, when he says, because you did, Claudia, that leads me to believe that it was Claudia and him going back and forth, and she started to delete some tweets. But I don't know why. What was the purpose of deleting the tweets if you was only gonna go and get on Instagram live, say something? And there was a moment where I do feel like Claudia played into people's face, and I'll tell y'all that, and I probably already mentioned it. And then you go from that to getting on live with the messy I forgot, messy sweet spot, and then you go from there to what was the next thing? Oh, you get on the FoxSoul in the comments, which was highly unprofessional in my opinion, going in and airing out one of your employees, like I mean not employees, but one of your coworkers. Like, I can't. He says, because you did, Claudia, be for real. You told Al on Tuesday on air you gave him this job. You had Lunel ask him about Star Jones and his divorce on Wednesday, and today you coached Armon to drag him under the guise of a roast. Wow, you sat there in glee. Something in the milk ain't clean, Claudia. So this is what he said, all right? So we are going to get into more of what he had to say.
You guys asked me about that. I didn't know you guys watch the show. TGIF. I don't work for FoxSoul, and I'm not speaking on the behalf of Al, so let me just get that out before anything. We do a great job about keeping the stuff here on Twitch. So, but let me just say this. I see you guys in the comments. Al publicly supported Armon, to me, right? He's never spoke bad about Armon to me. He even had videos on his YouTube, advocating for Armon. So I didn't know that there was a beef, or I talked to Al actively, and Al's never said anything bad about Armon to me. And I know he was going hard for Armon to get the job at FoxSoul, so I was kind of caught off guard. Right. Okay, I'm responding to exactly. Again, he's never spoke bad about Armon to me. And Platinum Barbie, what you're saying, Al's energy has been off for a few months. I can't tell you what episode. I can't tell you what markers, but yes, his energy has been off for a couple of months. I know if you guys go look at previous episodes over the past few months, you guys look in the comments, you guys will see in the comments of them saying Al's energy is off, Al energy is low. And Armon and Claudia both on air spoke to Al's energy.
For the people just getting in, the person speaking is Sean Allen, and this is best friend to Al Reynolds. He has a podcast, and he dropped just the snippet of some things that he talked about with the, Claudia, Al, and Armon beef. He speaks on not ever knowing that there was really a beef between Armon and Al. He feels like Claudia definitely put a bug and a battery in Armon's back to comfort Al the way that he did, and that he doesn't feel like she's innocent.
And his shift in his performance or his energy, they mentioned it on the show, periodically. So, Al's energy being off, then Armon doing this roast on yesterday, is, I guess it speaks to that, right? But I can't tell you what episodes to go look back at. But overwhelmingly in the comment section of these past few months, people are talking about Al's energy, and Armon getting on last night, dropping those back of the house internal issues under the guise of a roast, confirms why Al energy has been off these past few months, right? So something is going on behind the scenes. That's why Al's energy is off, and we would have never known that if Armon never would have weaved that into the roast. And they took the show down, right? The replay didn't air, right? Mm-hmm. So again, that further confirms that there are some internal issues, and we would have never known if Armon didn't bring the internal issues to the front, right? It was back of the house issues. Armon brought the back of the house issues to the front of the house. And Al sat through that shit. He ate that shit. He was professional. He didn't lash out online. He didn't lash out on the show. He didn't throw the shade on the show. He kept it professional, right? That's what you're supposed to do, I guess Armon don't believe it. I don't know Armon, and I'm not familiar with this brand. So the Lunel thing, right? I don't know if you guys remember this. Obviously, you guys watch the show. So, and it's on like YouTube somewhere. But Star Jones sent FoxSoul a cease and desist. Obviously, I don't have a copy of the cease and desist, but she can't talk. They can't talk about her on the show, right? She sent them a cease and desist like a year or two ago. Okay, cool, right? So I think what happened is Claudia got Lunel on the show on Tuesday. Because here's the thing, if you watch the show too, Claudia's be in the comments. Claudia's a moderator in the comment section, right? So Claudia got the show up on one screen, or she probably got a split screen with FoxSoul, and the other screen is the comment section and her iMessage. So when Lunel was speaking, Claudia was typing, sending messages to Lunel, and she told Lunel to ask that question about Star Jones. You see what I'm saying? I agree with you, Platinum Barbie. Claudia definitely put that bug out for Lunel and told Lunel to ask Al. Since we can't ask that question because of the cease and desist,
Which is crazy to me, because even if she did do that, it still was done on the platform. So she didn't have to necessarily be an employee of the company. It was still done on their platform. I feel like the best thing they would have needed to do was to keep it 100% Star Jones out of the conversation as a whole. My other thing, which is interesting, he says that if you, I don't know if he said if you pay attention or watch whatever, Claudia sent a text message to Lunel, and I'm like, how do you know that? Do you know that to be fact? You don't necessarily know that is exactly what happened, but I will say this. Thought that was interesting. He said that, and I don't put that past her because of this real small thing where I feel like she played with the people. So I played a live the other day, and it was Claudia being on her IG live, right? And she was speaking on how her and Al fell out. And then she said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to go ahead and say it, whatever like that. But if you pay attention, she starts doing some tapping and stuff on her phone. And as she's talking about the show, talking about the issue with Al, the live just ends abruptly. People thought that I cut her off. I ain't cut her off. She ended her live abruptly. So I was like, either she put a countdown timer on it for the live to completely go off, or she pulled up the screen so that she could just press in, because her intentions wasn't never really to give y'all the real tea, but to give y'all enough for y'all to insinuate what y'all want about the situation. So I'm like, I wouldn't put that past her sending that text message to do that. And, I'm just starting to look at it different. Like, I was like, I don't think, she did this or that. Nah, not no more. I think that there was definitely heavy involvement in that, but ultimately, I still feel like Armon did what he wanted to do, and Armon even said that's what he wanted to do. So that's what he did. But yeah.
I was not an employee of FoxSoul. We're gonna have her ask the question, and Lunel asked that question. You hear Claudia saying in the background, co-signing Lunel. You see what I'm saying? So That was on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, Claudia told Al she put him on. She gave him a job. She told him this on air, right? She told him this on air. Then on Thursday, yesterday, last night, Armon drops that bomb. You know what I mean? So, and then look at the fucking, you guys keep saying Al cut people off. Dunelle was cutting people off, and she wasn't getting the smoke that Al was getting. And Al's been cutting people off since the beginning. When Gary the T was on the show, Al was cutting people off. When Funky was on the show, Al was cutting people off and talking over people. So him cutting people off and speaking over people is not unique to Armon joining the show or Armon being on the show.
Okay, so you better go to back for your
let's not get married to that. You could go back and look at episodes from years ago. Al has a habit. I don't know if that's a character thing for the show. Because a lot of people, if you guys don't know, in television, they character development, right? So Al's the facts guy. Al's the posh guy. Al could be the rude guy. That could be a part of the character, right? I don't know, but Al has been cutting people off since the beginning of time on the show. So that's not sensitive to Armon, and that's not sensitive to Armon being on the show. Again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but Armon shouldn't have brought internal back of the house issues to a public setting, a public platform. He shouldn't have done that. We're talking about it now on here, right? We're talking about it now on here because people are putting together that there are internal and back of the house issues. Armon confirms it on air. Here's another thing too. Mm-hmm. Al kept it professional on the show, so I'm gonna say that to you, Platinum Bar, because I see you in the comments. Here's another. Let me actually turn these comments off. Hold on, it's moving really fast. I need to be like Claudia and be in the comments. Funky, Claudia has everything to do with it. Claudia has everything to do with it. Period. You know, Claudia has everything. Funky said when Funky left and him and Claudia was getting into it, he was saying Claudia is the problem. Claudia is a common denominator there. She made it an uncomfortable, hostile work environment. Funky said that on his lives when him and Claudia was going back and forth. I don't know if they're still up, but went viral. Everybody saw them. Him and Claudia was going back and forth on live. So Claudia put a bug in Armon's ear, or she created an environment for Armon to beef with Al. Whatever Al and Armon got going on, Claudia orchestrated it and had a lot to do with it. And I'm going to jump out the window and say if Claudia didn't have anything to do with it, Claudia has enough rank or power or experience to fix and facilitate a piece if Al and Armon is beef. I think it's like a one-sided beef because Al has never mentioned Armon to me outside of, you know, him coming on the show. And again, I actively talk to Al. So I think it's kind of one-sided beef that Claudia conjured up.
Well, I don't think it's just solely on Claudia conjuring up anything. I think it's also because of how Armon experienced it. And I think that he may have been feeling a certain way. And a lot of the fans put a lot in the comments about how Al was treating Armon, and I feel like those comments may have validated how Armon was already feeling. So I'm not gonna put all of that on Claudia, but I do think that she played a role in some stuff. I think all of them did. I don't think no one person is innocent in anything. Another thing I wanted to say is just because Al has not had a conversation with you to let you know his issues with Armon does not mean that he did not have any, okay? In my personal, I also say that because it seems like as soon as that live was over, I don't know if you weren't available to talk. Maybe he talked to you. I don't know. But it seems like as soon as it was over, the person he called to confide in about the situation was Funky. Because Funky can directly relate to the environment because he was already there. So Funky may be the go-to person that he does speak to. I don't know if he speaks to Funky about Armon, but in that moment we could tell that he was because he was pissed the fuck off. Okay? So that's that. Yeah, but I mean the way, you know, from what I'm hearing from Sean, it sounds like Claudia must have either she has pissed him off personally or he sat on the sideline and just watched her because he got smoke from his ma'am for sure. And I do feel like as a bestie, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, it is coming off as though your friend is just 1000% innocent. He ain't doing that wrong. Everybody coming for him. Da. You don't get to make that determination. And I hate to say it, neither does he, that you did not make a person feel away. You know what I'm saying? That person makes that determination on how you make them feel. That may not have been your intention. right? But at the end of the day, you don't get to control how somebody else, feel about some things. And according to Claudia, he was talking shit about him when she thought that he was a good friend. So, there's that. Just like Armon may feel like his intentions were not to do whatever to Al, you don't get to make the determination on how Al responds or how he feels about that. You know what I'm saying? So it's given not too much on Claudia, but I see you at the same time. Like, I understand what you're trying to say at the same time, because I don't think she innocent. But then it's like, just spread it around, okay? Just spread it amongst everybody, okay? In my personal. So there's that, okay? I definitely wanted to get into that because that's something that's been going on. It came across my desk and we touched on it. All right. I don't think we'll be talking about it too much more longer. Al has not said anything. I don't know if he is. According to his best friend who we just listened to, he told Claudia, I mean, you ain't got no job. So I'm like, okay, is the show over? Armand did mention that they were supposed to go on vacation for a week. It got extended by another week because they were supposed to return in July. So then now they're on hiatus. So my question is the show going to return? And if it does, who are the players going to be? Maybe the conversation will pick back up at that point, or maybe it won't at all. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's all I got on that. So good luck.